Welcome back to another episode of Dadventures, and today we have a new segment called Nintendo Skip, and it's the first episode of this series. And now, to show you the little thing that we made over here, we got all the boxes of the classic Nintendo systems on top, the NES, and then we got the Super Nintendo, and then the new console that just released like a year ago.
2 years.
Oh, 2 years ago, the Nintendo Switch.
Yep, and what better way to talk about Nintendo with its original classics, the original Nintendo system and the Super Nintendo system, and of course, finishing off with the Nintendo Switch, its newest system.
Exactly. And now I'm gonna set up our camera, so that everything is, so we can have our conversation. All right, cool. There we go.
Remember us? I'm the dad,
And I'm the son.
and therefore I'm the moon.
This dude, man, that's a knee slapper.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep, so today we're talking about gaming. We are gamers ourselves, and obviously one of our favorite systems is Nintendo. And so the main thing we're going to be talking about is how Nintendo gets skipped over how all the other systems from the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and for crying out loud, the PC, aka computers, can get stuff over Nintendo.
All the time. Happens all the time. And it's crazy. It's happened more recent years, Like in the past, that didn't really happen, like, at all. But
As much.
the recent years, like, happens a lot. And it's really irritating. Like, there's, like, websites about it. He made a website about it.
Called NintendoSkip.com.
Like, there's a bunch of people that, like want to question Nintendo, why is this always happening, Like, why is Nintendo the only system that be, like, missing out on, like, blockbuster titles?
When Nintendo is one of the main three
like
video game
like
moguls.
companies and all
Moguls.
that. It's crazy.
So we are like one of the main defenders of Nintendo to make comments about it, dealing about, skipping. Oh. So, let's start off with the fact that Nintendo started off, besides the Game Boys, mind you, with the original Nintendo system. And, yeah, love Nintendo to death. And one of the reasons we're also talking about gaming is because we wanted to share with you, the audience, a little bit about how we got into gaming. For me, it was through my dad. And he took me and my family, in the past obviously, to a wedding. And we were, after the wedding was done, took us all to the wedding reception. And one of the places we went to had a tabletop game of Pac-Man. And of course played Pac-Man. And from there, my love of video games started to grow. And as time went on, then during like the mid-70s or what have you, there were arcades. And as I was growing up and what have you, went to arcades. And at the time, there was Showbiz Pizza Place and Chuck E. Cheese and regular arcade places where they had, the video game boxes and what have you.
I bet they never heard of Showbiz Pizza Place.
And that's why I mentioned Chuck E. Cheese in that mix, so you have an idea of what Showbiz Pizza Place was, because now, in 2019, Showbiz Pizza Place does not exist. It went out of business. But Chuck E. Cheese still exists and is in business.
I don't know no one that goes
and
there still.
With today's date of where we have the home consoles, where you have that video game experience at home.
The arcades is kind of dead.
The arcades have sort of died. There might be a few arcades out there that might exist for the old school nostalgia, which is good. and nice, which really pays tribute to the past of what is now happening in the present/future.
And I got into games because of him, of course, when I was a little youngin', a little kid.
Yeah, and when he was a baby, and I was playing my systems, my home consoles and what have you, my son, who was a baby then, would
waddled
come,
on
over to me, and here I am playing with my controllers and everything, and there he is right there, and then looking at the TV and all that, and then when I saw him smiling and laughing, that was just like a sign to me, like, oh, he's gonna be a gamer.
I got super interested in it off top. I remember the first physical game thing I had was the little Game Boy. That was the first thing I remember playing. And
a lot of Game Boys back then, as they were evolving, were becoming DSs and 3DSs.
Yeah.
But throughout it all, it was still a Game Boy, but with just different names and upgrades.
But I remember the Game Boy though. One thing that Game Boy had over the DS was you could have these little cartridges of TV shows on Nick, and you could put them in.
Game Boy TV.
You could watch an episode like Fairly Odd Parents or Lucha Libre with the little wrestlers.
It was pretty limited.
You could watch
and short-lived
shows,
but it was popular.
It was cool. I had a couple cartridges of just episodes, and then I had games or whatever, and I played that. And then when I got older, the GameCube came out, and I fell in love with that. That's the best Nintendo console of all time, in my opinion. It's really great. And then that's how I was.
But still Nintendo nonetheless, and we loved it.
Yeah, it was super fun. But now we're gonna talk about how what kind of games skips Nintendo, right? That just completely goes away. So, for instance, in the past, there used to be a game called Ninja Gaiden that started on Nintendo.
The original NES.
And then
it had 2 sequels, Ninja Gaiden 2 and 3.
And then this is around the time when when the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 was popular. Ninja Gaiden 3 came out, and it didn't come to Nintendo. It just went to Xbox and PlayStation, and people who like Nintendo were confused, why did it not come to Nintendo? Why did it, hence the name Nintendo Skip? Why did it skip Nintendo and just go to other platforms instead of staying where its roots
Oh,
are
and just
at?
so we're clear, Ninja Gaiden 3 was on Nintendo, and it did start off in Nintendo. After Ninja Gaiden 3, then whatever Ninja Gaiden games came out afterwards did not come to a Nintendo platform. Because if I'm not mistaken, the other the other Ninja Gaiden games that came out, Sigma and all that, did not come to a Nintendo platform. Why? It just, wait for it, skipped. Oh, and on that note, let me introduce you to my little dance called the Nintendo Skip.
You want me to change the view?
Yeah, go ahead, change the view to give it its due.
He finna do his little dance for y'all real quick. Man, wait, hold on. I gotta get a better thing.
Yes, and the reason I call it the Nintendo Skip, hence, there is skipping.
Dog, it's so stupid.
Skip to Maloo, just skippy skip. Let's just keep skipping Nintendo. Just skip. Nintendo skip. Skip. Let's just skip Nintendo. Just
Is that thing
skip it
there?
up.
Hey.
Skip Nintendo. There you go. My dance, I created the Nintendo Skip.
That was your workout for the day?
Yeah, think about that. That's a nice plus too. Get a good workout too. Arms and legs. Moving. So yeah, get some good exercise, which also seems to be a Nintendo thing too. While gaming,
Yeah, with
also
Wii Fit.
getting some exercise in too.
With them Wii Fit
Plus.
games and the Just Dance games and
Right,
shit like
yeah.
that. Where they be having people dance. So yeah, that was his little.
So there you go. That was the
dance.
World Wide Web debut of the Nintendo Skip dance.
It might go viral. You never know. Anything
After all,
possible.
if the stupid floss dance can get some publicity, let my Nintendo Skip dance do the same.
Oh, but you know what's also an insult to Nintendo? When the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out, right? The Wii U was Nintendo's like next console, right?
Right.
So that came out before the Switch, and there was
Obviously,
at the E3 there was this cool trailer of a bird, and it was just like there, like you saw the environment, like the graphics were great, like
phenomenal.
Like everyone was excited, like the details of the bird, the water, and then the bird just flew away. We were like, oh, Nintendo's stepping their game up. And then the first game that came out, right? The graphics looked nothing like that. Like it just wasn't like that. So that trailer was like.
And if you all remember, it was Nintendo Land.
Yeah. So that trailer like fooled a lot of people because the graphics looked nothing like it. Like y'all could look up like the E3. I don't remember what year, but like.
Well, this is 2019, so I'd say the Wii U, its lifespan was like 4 or 5 years. So you have to go like maybe 2014 or 15. There you go, and yeah.
Shit.
Bless you.
Thanks. But yeah, like y'all can check out the trailer for yourself and see what bird I'm talking about. And look at them graphics. And then compare it to a Wii U game.
And you wanna talk about what I created dealing with Nintendo Skip. A game I was looking forward to, where all the other systems got it, but the Wii U and everything just skipped right over it, canceled it, didn't even give it the credit it deserved. Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Yeah, that
all the other systems got it, but they had a problem on the U.
And you know what the excuse is? The Wii U can't handle it.
Couldn't handle it.
It can't handle it graphically. Which makes sense now because that trailer, you know what I'm saying? They can handle the trailers, so like how can they handle a whole game with like more like higher graphics, you know what I'm saying?
And if you can take any positive from this, for the fact that the Switch now exists and has sold over 1 million plus units to date, the Wii U was like the biggest mistake, and it like took care of all the mistakes that the Switch did not, which is why the Switch is 2 years successful, and stuff that was on the U got ported over
to the Switch.
So that way, if you didn't play some of the games like Toad, Treasure Tracker, the Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, obviously Zelda, Breath of the Wild, they're on the Switch. So now you don't have to worry about missing it, not to mention the fact that it's a home console on the go.
Yeah,
so it sort of combined, making itself like a, well, not that a Game Boy isn't portable or travelable to begin with, for the fact that, hence the name, Switch, you can play it at home and on the go. A double system in one.
And you know what's funny?
And everything the U should have been in the Switch, the U could have been the Switch.
But it's not.
But it's not. Which is why the U has gone downhill and it's like dead, and it almost makes it non-existent.
But the only thing the Wii U is good for, he still has one, because there's like a couple games that's on like Back to the Future and like
Ghostbusters.
But the real reason why he has the
I still keep it, believe it or not, is because of the...
You can use it as a remote.
As a TV remote.
Instead of like using a remote, you can change the channels, because it has like a little like touchpad thing, and you can like touch it, it'll change the channel for you, turn on the TV. That's the only reason why he has it.
Yes.
It's
the only way I have
TV remote.
Once the games that I have that are on the U and not on the Switch, bye-bye to the U. And I don't need to have the physical system.
Yeah, there's no point. It's crazy. If you think about it, was the Wii better than the U?
And I'll tell you this, almost nearly 2 years ago, when the Switch was introduced, I've hardly played my U at all. At all.
Yeah, there's no point.
It's almost like I don't have a U. As much as I promoted it nearly 5 some years ago. It was like the bee's knees. I was like, yeah, get a U. Couldn't wait to get the games on the U. But now it's like, no. Companies, get this, companies couldn't make games for it. Didn't want to make games for it.
Like third-party companies,
AAA games, they didn't want anything to do with it. So there was super skipping of the Nintendo platform.
Oh, remember what Reggie said? There was a drought. There's a big
old drought
because there's no games being made.
No games
making games for it was Nintendo.
Was Nintendo.
Their console.
promoting
But
itself. What good is
The
that?
other third-party people, they didn't want nothing to do with
Didn't
it.
want it to
Except for Ubisoft with Just Dance.
Yeah, with
That's
Just
the only
Dance
thing.
and Ubisoft.
But we don't care about that.
Yeah,
I don't wanna play
careless
that
about the
shit.
dancing. Even though I promoted my skip dance and what have you.
Yeah.
Cruel irony.
Pretty much. But I
Yeah,
remember-
but look at the turnaround. Look with the Switch. Companies everywhere can't wait to produce games. There is like games that I get that come out weekly, monthly. And yes, my wallet is being broken quite a bit, but that's my hobby.
His pocket's
That's my
getting
hobby.
little-
But I can
little
afford
light.
it, and I can do it because I enjoy it. And I treasure it and appreciate it. So I'm not like some of these other gamers who get games and do the speed run thing. What appreciation is that? Yes, there is some challenge to it that you can beat a game pretty fast. But after that, then what's the playability of it and replayability of it if you want to beat it that fast and be done with it?
But you know the point? Because you can go to GameStop. And then you can get that half your money back.
Yeah, get half your money back.
Because you
You get
can,
it done within a month.
Within a month, you can sell it and then get half the money.
Well, there you go. That's you guys. But that's not him and me.
Yeah, no.
We treasure our games, play our games, savor it. There's games we haven't even opened yet because games keep coming out too fast. There's too many. But they're good. They're good, and we want them. And that's good. There is no drought for the Switch.
But there's one thing I wanted to say about the Wii U. I remember when Reggie, I forgot
Just in case you don't know who we're talking about, Reggie Fils-Aime, however you pronounce the name, but it's
He works
Reggie.
at Nintendo.
But he works at Nintendo, and he's like a spokesperson.
He's like a big spokesperson for Nintendo. He went on Jimmy Kimmel's show or
Jimmy
show?
Fallon.
He went on Jimmy Fallon's show, right? And
He promotes a lot of Nintendo stuff on
and he
Jimmy
brought
Fallon.
the Wii U system there so people could see it and play it. And people thought that it was like an add-on to the Wii instead of its own separate console.
Yeah.
Which confused people.
Which was one of its downfalls and confusing about it.
Because a lot of people didn't buy it because they were like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just an add-on, so why do I need this? But then people start realizing that it's its own console with its own games and etc. and all that. But that right there is poor marketing on Nintendo, because if you go and market a console, why are people not knowing it's a console? Well, why do they think it's an add-on? But then again, it also goes to like stupid logic because, like, can you get the Wii U?
Oh, sure. Let me get the gamepad.
Like that's like the gamepad, right?
They thought this was the console.
Yeah, they thought this whole thing was the console, which doesn't make sense because on the box, like we don't have the box no more. You can clearly see that it has the console, and then this is next to it. So this is obviously the controller. Like,
I mean, there's no openings. There's no place to put a disc or what have you. So why people thought this was the console is
idiotic.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Stupid. Come on, man. But yeah. Anything else you wanna?
So as we start to wind down from this first episode, because as you can see, we enjoy talking about
as you can see,
gaming.
he's really passionate about this.
Oh yeah, especially Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, my first system almost was ColecoVision, because that was the closest thing back then to being what you would get for an arcade experience. And then right at about the time when I was about to buy that system of ColecoVision, that's when Nintendo introduced itself in 1985 of the original Nintendo system. And of course, the games they were promoting were Duck Hunt, Super Mario Brothers, and Popeye. And when I saw that was the exact same computer graphics or video game graphics that were in the arcade, I was sold, and I was a lover of Nintendo ever since.
In our basement, we have, I think it was his when he was a kid, we got like a Popeye thing, like the game that Popeye came on, the whole little thing.
Oh yeah, you know how Nintendo does game and watch? Well, they also did like little home console systems, little small mini versions of arcade games, and of course of Nintendo games. And one of them was Popeye.
Yeah, it was pretty great. But yeah, so that's like our little segment about like Nintendo and how we feel. There's gonna be more videos about this because It's a pretty passionate topic. He knows a lot of information, more than I know, so I'm learning with y'all. So, you know, tune in for more videos when we talk about Nintendo. And before we leave, we finna show y'all like a little like poster thing that my dad made of what's to come soon. So let me get that real quick. So remember in the other previous video, we said we were gonna have a Mama Drama moment. In like the next 2 or 3 videos, we're gonna have some Mama Drama moments. So just be prepared for that. And it's coming soon, people. So stay tuned.
Coming soon, people.
Bye for now with our gamer talk.
Yeah, we up out of here, man.